Greetings, Internet. This is Spastique, joined by all of these people.
Hello!
Hello.
Hello.
Hola mundo.
And this is Mind the Gap with this person.
I'm Sniper Momiji, or as everybody else seems to call me, Chibi-chan.
Chibi-chan, Roy, and Sniper
Whatever.
Gigi.
Yada yada yada. I'm joined here by Spastique and the Titty-gami.
No.
He went there.
He went there, he went.
Yes, I'm Diz. And ignore what he said. Please, for the love of God.
It won't ignore.
You guys gonna introduce yourselves now?
I already did.
Alright,
I'm a crazy person.
And I am Yuya Cat. I shall randomly roll around.
No. I am broken. I mean Crystal.
Derpy one here, Ozzy. Anime freak.
am-
Or Toho
I-
freak.
Of course you're
I am
derpy
Shin-
with a Cherno icon.
I am
I'm
Shingo Yabuki, a professional nosebleeder.
And we also have Turn 84, Candy Cat, and Yomu, and so on. So, let's get to the picking.
Alright, let's get Ab in here real quick. Somebody add her quickly.
I tried, it didn't let me.
Do
Here,
it again!
I'm doing it!
I already tried again. I just selected.
There we go!
Can I hop onto your lap?
There we go.
Hi, Abby.
It's
Ab,
still
it is
loading. It's
nap
still
time.
loading, guys.
Still loading.
Oh, well,
Aw.
Can I hop onto your lap?
Yes, excuse me while I put on a monocle and a mustache and get into one of those
crap.
egg-shaped chairs.
Spaz, for that you get an internet high five.
I think I might make a Walfus picture of that real quick.
Guys, Abby's
Hop onto
derping. She's
Spaz's lap
just
and meows.
Yeah.
Alright, well, she will join in a moment or two, or soon. So, I say let's just get started, and she can
Alright.
catch up.
Yes.
Yes.
Alright, this is chapter 13. This is my story. Let me get a drink and I'll start.
You should have got one before we started.
No, I have one. I just was
Oh.
saying take a drink.
Ah.
Oh.
We thought you went to go get a drink.
No,
Oh.
I did that already.
Can I have link to stream BTW?
I will. I'll get it for
Alright,
you.
take care of that. Okay, chapter 13. This is my story. Two blank eyes shot open as the soul returned to its body. The blank eyes filled with light before they shut again, and Isaac coughed. He would have said that was the weirdest thing that had ever happened to him, but a lot of weird things had happened to him recently. He shook the thoughts out of his head and looked around, then jumped to his feet. The night was nearly over, twilight having passed long ago. Isaac took the broom that lay next to him, checking his belt. Wrench, mini huck arrow, everything in order and in its place. With that reassurance, he smiled and jumped onto the broom, starting off at a breakneck pace. He had lost too much time already. Serena, I'm coming, he thought, zooming up the mountain in minutes. When he reached the top of the mountain, Isaac realized something was off. He encountered nothing on the way up after the gatekeeper let him go. Not a single fairy, not a single yokai, not a single thing. When he stopped his ascent, he saw why.
Ascent is A-S-C-E-N. When he stopped his accent, you spelled there.
Yeah, I knew I would screw something up like that.
Something so simple. It's just a spelling mistake.
Honestly, that one's spell check's fault. Goddamn spell check.
One sec, I have,
Top of the
Oh,
mountain.
shit.
I have to do this before we go. He stopped his accent. Serena, I am coming.
Okay.
Okay.
Moving on.
Moving on. Atop the mountain stood a single man, clapping his hands slowly. Graham smiled, leaning over to casually pick up a long brown paper wrapped package from the ground. Ah, Isaac.
Can I
was
say
worried
something?
One of my. Sure. Go ahead.
Go ahead. Also, add try to get it.
What?
Aja carumba.
Ozzy, try to add Ab to the call.
Okay, give me a sec.
Okay, moving on again. I was worried one of my enlightened followers had struck you down. He smiled and stood, his voice no louder than a normal conversation, forcing Isaac to land to hear him. I'm glad you made it up here. Does that mean you reconsidered my offer? I do hope you have. Those items would make such good gifts to start our... He paused, searching for the right word. Friendship, he said, putting a hand on Isaac's shoulder.
Die.
Isaac
Reinhardt.
pushed it. Oh, what?
Never mind.
Alrighty then. Isaac pushed it off and growled. I've come here to stop you. You're a madman and a fool, Graham. Gensokyo doesn't need you here, and I'm here to make sure you leave. Isaac said, flipping the broom up, holding it like a staff. Is that how you really feel, Isaac? Graham looked hurt.
What is a man?
If that's how you really feel, then I have no choice. I have no choice but to... He paused, turning away and walking a few steps before striking at Isaac with the brown package. Kill you! Isaac jumped back, dropping the broom and jumping onto it as Graham chuckled, starting to float. Honestly, I'm
Ozzy,
glad you
try
dodged
again.
that. What?
Ozzy, try again. Try to get Ab in.
Okay, why is she
Honestly, I'm glad you dodged that. That would have been a short final boss fight if you hadn't. He chuckled, pulling a string off the brown package, letting the paper fall away to show a long, black as blood sword in an equally dark...
Finally!
Hooray, you made it!
Skype has stopped freaking
Roy,
cutting
you should
itself.
have hit what is a man line.
No.
No.
Would you like
You know
a link
what?
to the stream, Ab?
Moving
Ah,
on.
no. I'm just gonna listen to it.
Moving on. You know what this is? They call it... Okay, I don't know how to pronounce these two names. I will try my best. Okay. They call it Sunpo no Barika. Did I say that right?
Close enough.
I
What?
don't know.
Sounds about right.
Yeah.
Okay. I just kind of copy-paste the phonics spelling because it's kind of cool. You'll notice that in any of my stories, I'll generally have one part where a character is speaking something else other than English, and I'll put the phonics spelling of whatever they're speaking in there. It's just a quirk I kind of like.
It's nifty, I like it. Anyway, moving on.
Yeah. Where I come from, they call it Breaker di
Yes.
Dimensione. That one's Italian. Just some of my heritage coming out. You.
You and your Italianness.
You
My
would
life
call
to the
it
party?
Breaker of Dimensions. He
Sorta.
smiled. What?
He was
Okay.
asking if he was late to the party.
A little bit. He smiled,
Right.
pulling the black blade free from its sheath. It's a blade made by a master swordsmith using metal that just appeared one day. This blade, your wrench, they're made of the same thing. The same metal in two different universes, crying out for each other. Very dramatic, don't you agree? Graham looked to him, then gained a disappointed look on his face when he saw no reaction.
Ratchet and Clank.
Mm-hmm.
I want to meet Grant. I want to meet this guy. I want to meet this guy. I don't care if he's evil or not. I want to meet this guy.
Oh, like I care what you think. You're just the villain of the story. You could care less about how I'm doing this. You just want me to stop. You just want to stop me from showing Gensokyo true freedom. The kind of freedom that Graham ducked just in time, missing a wrench to the face.
Ratchet and Clank.
Just-
Sorry.
Just like a
Good.
villain to strike when I'm talking. Seems like it's time for us to end this little game. Graham smiled, dropping the scabbard for the blade and holding it one-handed, the other hand glowing as Danmaku shots formed in its palm. The shots spread from his hand, causing Isaac to do some fancy flying to avoid getting anything more than nicked.
I wanna fly, fly just like a bird.
He groaned as one of his wounds were reopened by the shot, and held his hand over it.
So if it was more
Oh!
true to an actual
What?
Gappy, if it was more true to an actual Gappy, Graham wouldn't be using Danmaku at all. He just used the sword. But that's just me.
Yeah, that's true. But hey, this is my story. Deal
Okay.
with it. Oh, right! You can't use Danmaku. That means I only have to hit you once. Graham
Neither
smiled.
should he.
Well, maybe the vital organs, not necessarily once anywhere.
Yeah. Graham smiled, rushing forward and slamming the hilt of the blade into Isaac's gut, then slamming the flat of the blade into his head, sending Isaac off the broom and slamming into the ground. What a disgraceful final boss. As a villain, you're subpar at best. Such a cliche, trying to stop the progress of my dream. Isaac descended to the ground, slowly
Graham.
walking over to Isaac. What?
It says
Did I say
Graham.
Isaac?
Yeah.
God damn it. Graham descended to the ground, slowly walking over to Isaac, then kicking him over onto his stomach. Not a very tough opponent without your explosives, are you? It was
That
luck
bitch.
my soldiers found you out cold. What?
I'm just calling Graham a bitch.
I wanted to make this be a fight of only our abilities, and as you can see, you don't measure up. Graham stopped as he heard laughing. What are you laughing about? I'm laughing. Isaac coughed up blood, putting his hand on the ground to lift himself up. Because you don't sound... I know that's spelled wrong. It's supposed to be ridiculous. How ridiculous you sound. He coughed again before taking another kick, sending him over onto his back, groaning. A villain who can't fight anymore, making fun of the hero. I grow tired of these pleasantries. He practically spat the last word. It's time for you to die, Isaac. I offered you a chance after chance to join me. But now... Graham formed a large ball of energy in his hand. It's time for me to erase you from this tale. Graham threw the ball of energy, missing Isaac by centimeters, but sending the wounded man off into a building, which collapsed around him. A stroke of luck, but he will not escape this. Graham growled, slowly walking to the rubble. Graham smiled, spinning the blade in one hand as he walked to the rubble. Well, as much fun as this has been, Isaac, we can't keep this up. People expect some sort of ending, and when I tell this story, I'll make sure everyone knows just what happened to the fool villain who opposed me. And I'll make sure that the people who know who controls them. And I'll make sure your Tengu friend knows exactly how much of a better man I am than you are. Graham was
What?
standing on
I
the
just
rubble
hear
now.
Tengu and I'm just like, what?
Serena.
This guy
Sorry.
needs a kick in the balls he wished he had.
He sounds like a proper madman.
He sounds like the actual villain.
He reminds me of Albert Wesker.
He sounds like he sounds like a typical bad guy to me.
You
Alright.
know,
Graham was standing.
And he thinks he's the good guy. It's pretty
Yeah,
good.
can I move on now, please?
Yes,
Yes.
go ahead.
Graham was standing on the rubble now, one foot on the ground, the other on top of a rock at the base of the pile. He taunted Isaac with tales of what he would do to his friends, starting how he would publicly execute the Shrine Maiden and the Witch, moving on to how he would enslave the Kappa and cut Notori's hands off for aiding Isaac, then finishing with how he would take Serena as his wife when this was over, just to crush any hope of someone else rising up.
that hooker.
And when she is mine, I'll make sure she never forgets how badly you failed to save her. How you left her here to die, and I saved her. Isaac took his... Ah, damn it! Graham took a step back, then raised the blade. "Say hello to the ferryman for me," Graham laughed, plunging
Komachi!
into rubble. Yes, Komachi reference. A blood-curdling scream cut short, lasting from the blade entering the rubble to it being sunk hilt deep, and the villain falls. Graham smirked and pulled the blade from the rubble, wiping the blood off it. The rubble must have been larger than he thought. The blade was only halfway covered in blood. With a shrug, the madman wiped it off, then sheathed the blade before groaning, stumbling as he felt something hit his back. The spot tingled, and the air smelled of ozone. "Who dares? No." Graham gasped, taking a step back. Cough, cough. Above the rubble, floating of his own powers, lightning surrounding him, was Isaac. Bloody, battered, a sword-shaped hole surrounded by blood on his stomach. "You're wrong, Graham.
Hallelujah.
You're no hero," Isaac said, his voice slightly pained as he gripped the wrench. "You're a madman. And Gensokyo, no, not just Gensokyo, nowhere deserves to be under the rule of a man like you. Gensokyo is free, a place where Tengu, Kappa, human, and yokai can all live together, and I'm not gonna let you ruin that. 2 people got themselves hurt to give me the chance to come here and say this." Isaac stepped to the ground, his grip on the wrench now causing his knuckles to go white. "This place is not your playground. The people here are not your toys, and this is not your story," Isaac said as electricity gathered into a ball in his hand, one of which tossed into the air. One which he tossed
Suddenly,
into
his
the air.
powers worked for some reason. Sorry.
He's
Rapture
kind of been
sign.
stabbed.
Yeah, rapture
And
sign. Fall of a mad king. Isaac smiled, the ball of lightning striking out at different things on the mountains. Isaac rushed forward, the wrench in his hands acting like a club. The mountain went silent as Isaac and Graham faced off, Danmaku and lightning flying as they clashed, mythical steel clashing with mythical steel. Mystical, sorry. Neither side seemed to falter, neither side seemed to tire. The battle was a full stalemate until one intervened.
Question, how do those powers activate?
Yeah,
He's kind of been
Remember in
stabbed.
chapter 2, I think it was? No, not chapter 2. It was a couple chapters ago. Remember the 2 red squares he got from Reimu?
Yes, there
2
should be
power-up
some kind
squares?
of reminder, just like
Reminder
a
of the
tiny
squares.
little hints at the previous chapters.
The 2 things I was thinking of was those, and the fact that he was almost killed, which gave him panic bomb.
In that sense, I'm looking more along the lines like he got enough point items to get an extra life. If you're looking at a game aspect,
or enough points to get a bomb or something.
But still, using what we've like established early on, like if you have a setup that's like that for a payoff that's way later, it's best to give like a small, tiny micro reminder.
Okay, yeah.
yeah.
Tomorrow I'm probably going to edit the entire thing, so that I'll make sure to add something in about that one.
Okay.
Yeah, because you're
Alright.
keeping the game aspect in there, so just keep that in mind.
I shall.
Yes, best.
Moving on. Isaac! Reimu freed Serena! Marissa yelled, having finally come back. Her shout distracted Isaac just long enough for Graham to finish what he had started before. The blade went through the same hole in Isaac's shirt as before. "We are finished here," Graham said, smirking. "I agree." Isaac smirked himself, then grabbed Graham's collar. "Rapture sign. Tomb for the damned," Isaac said as electricity struck around the 2 men, breaking the ground around them. "Marissa, tell Serena I came back for her," he said. Then the ground collapsed below them, sending them falling into a cavern in the mountain. "Isaac!" Marissa yelled out from the edge of the ground, her voice drowned out by the sound of falling rocks. Isaac's eyes stung as he tried to open them. From the red he saw for a moment, the throbbing wound in his head, the taste of copper in his mouth. His head was bleeding. Isaac spat out some blood and tried to wipe his face, but his arms stung when he tried to move them. Something heavy held his arms down, and from the feeling of pain that was starting to blossom when he tried to move them, Isaac guessed he had some bad wounds there. He took a pained breath and lay his head on the rough rubble behind him. It hurt a little, but it wasn't too bad compared to everything else. Deja vu. Isaac chuckled. It seems this is really the end. Isaac felt his breath leaving him like it had in the other world. No one to save me this time, Isaac thought, slowly exhaling his final breaths. Before he lost consciousness, he could have sworn he heard a familiar voice. We found him.
Whoa.
You handled that combat really well. I like it.
My only complaint is, if I can finally come up with a complaint for once, it's a bit dialogue heavy for a climax.
Yeah, I
see
guess.
Kind of bit.
And also the matter of, normally a climax has to do with what is the, I guess, don't know how to phrase this. Mechanically, in every single story I've, written myself, the climax for me is what
To
is
be honest, it kinda reminds me of Bleach with the dialogue.
the strongest point of the story. What ends
The
up
most
helping the
moving?
character finally escape. I guess here, if it's just a classic good versus evil thing, it's good wins because it's trying to fight for the world, whereas evil's trying to enslave the world, so I guess that could work.
And it felt like Graham himself was looking for a challenge with the dialogue, with the taunting and whatnot.
Graham was, because Graham thinks this is basically a video game. He thinks, oh, Isaac's the final boss. There's got to be some challenge. It's got to be difficult, or it's not worth it.
Memorable.
Then that makes it a very good climax then, because this guy's treating it like a game and Isaac's treating it seriously.
Wait, this is the climax, not the final end?
That's not the last chapter, but that is the climax of the story.
It sounded like the
No, there's a resolution that comes afterwards.
You've got to have a resolution.
It'd be unsatisfying to just be
Hold
left
on,
at
let
that.
Roy talk.
Oh.
Yes, there's 2 more chapters. There is, what did I call it? Dirge of the Hero, which is basically, and this is what happens to Gensokyo afterwards. And then there's Return, which is what happens to everyone, all the characters afterwards.
Sure, I thought you said you were going to end it on this chapter. I just jumped in
No,
like, oh, hey, look, it's the ending.
I'm not
God
that
damn it.
specific. I will try to give you guys closure as to what happened.
Sorry, go ahead. Go ahead, Orby.
Orby? Who's Orby?
Abbott. Oh, Abbott. Damn it.
Anyway, go ahead.
Okay, I'm gonna remember that, Ozzy. All I have to say is I am very proud of you, Roy. You've written one of the best stories that's actually gotten me captivated. It's very hard to do that, and all I have to say is I'm proud of it.
Oh,
Sorry.
I get what you're saying. For a second, I couldn't hear you, but then I basically understood what you were saying.
All I have to say is I'm proud of you and I love you. I can wonderful.
I love you.
You didn't know it.
Anyway,
All right.
Anyway.
So, you guys want to just continue doing the critique for the last 2 chapters, or do you guys want to split up the recordings?
Are there any questions?
Audience Q&A real quick?
I got a question for Sky, by the way. Can I just say it to Sky right now?
Go ahead.
Alright then, that
Sky, can you even lift?
All right, then. That was sweet.
Oh, hey, Kiane. Glad you liked it. I know I did.
We'll give it 30 more seconds, and then we'll move on to the next chapter and split this video up.
Woohoo!
Here for
Yay.
Yeah, you probably didn't get a whole lot of time to talk because you don't have a microphone anymore.
Who doesn't?
Kiane.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't ask my question.
Just
Why do
You can't lift.
Yeah, I just have to listen to everything.
Alrighty, I guess that means there's no more questions. We'll split this video up and we'll move on to the resolution for Mind the Gap.
Adios.
Yay.
Woo!
Hoorah!
Jackie, PPNC, Yomu, Rumuya, Rimia, Shingo, Crystal, Chibi-Chens, Momiji, Abster, Candy Cat, Ozzy, Cherno84D, Diz, and Spasty. Moving on.
Wait, TDBS just jumped in and random.
Random is random with random
Next
sauce?
chapter.
Okay. Spaz, for the start of the next recording,